Hello, everybody. This is Heather from Flavorful Tea and Fruit Company. I want to welcome you back. If you are watching this on YouTube, please subscribe and share with friends and family. If you are watching this on Facebook, on our Facebook business page, and you haven't already, please like and follow and share this with any friends or tea friends that you may know that may be interested in this. It really does help us, and it tells me that all the hard work I'm doing is actually beneficial and supporting my community. And my community is not just people who are in Northeast Wisconsin. My community is all of the tea lovers in the world who are ready to have the best time of their life and have the best tea tasting experience. Now, let's get into today's video. Yesterday, I had a video on the difference between light and dark oolong. I gave you descriptions about how you can tell the difference between them. I also gave you an example of 3 of our light oolongs that we offer here at the shop and 1 dark oolong, which is considered a rare oolong that is coming from the Darjeeling area of India. India is not known for having black teas, so it is considered rare. And if you look at the dark oolong that's coming from India, you wouldn't even know it's oolong because it looks like black tea, but it is still oolong. Now, today, I'm actually going to be tasting with you all the different types that I shared with you yesterday. So the 4 types were hairy crab oolong, golden flower oolong, milky oolong, which those are all light oolongs coming from China, and the rare Darjeeling oolong, which is coming from India and is our dark oolong. I infused them 3 times. The first steep was done the Gong Fu way for 20 seconds. The second steep was done the Gong Fu way for 1 minute. The third steep was done just in a regular teapot for 3 minutes, which is very generic for most of us Americans, as most of the time, if you have only bought tea from the grocery store, then you do know that most of the times the suggested steeping times is 3 to 5 minutes. So I wanted to be able to show you the difference, and I also wanted to give you guys a little bit of a flavor profile. I will be looking down because I'm looking at my tea tasting journal. If you've never had one of these before, I'm in the process of creating these so that you guys can have them too. But I basically did my tea tasting right before I did this video so that I can just look down and make sure that I'm not forgetting any information that I need to get to you guys so that you can have the best information for when you choose which oolongs to drink and to try. Now, one thing about oolong that you need to know about is that it's considered between a green tea and a black tea. So it does have caffeine, has about as much caffeine as a green tea does, and it is a slightly fermented tea, and it is also something that is oxidized between 10% and 80%. Lower the oxidization, the lighter of an oolong it will be, and the higher of an oxidization, so that 80%, is generally going to be what is considered our dark oolong teas, which is something that is coming from India. Our dark oolong is an 80% oxidized tea. Now, let's go through this. And I have all these little orange cups over here, but you're not going to be able to see the color with that. So I brought out my handy dandy double-walled tea cup. It's made out of plastic glass, and it's just a great way to be able to see everything. This is the first infusion. This is the hairy crab oolong, and I infuse it for 20 seconds in my gaiwan. So let's first dump out some of this tea, and let's look at the color. Now you may notice right away, it basically doesn't have much of a color at all. And it might be just the lighting in here too, but it's also because it is a very lightly colored tea. It's a light oolong, hence the liquor color of this tea. Now this tea is going to be a clear, pale yellow tea. It has an aroma that I thought was low complexity, and since I haven't put anything outside of that, it means that I was not able to really smell anything. It basically smelled like what water would smell like. But for some of you guys who have a little bit of a stronger nose, you may get a little bit of a vegetal flavor or aroma, but you're also going to get that as a flavor. That was like a sneak peek, guys. Now, when it comes to the mouthfeel and texture, this oolongs are generally very smooth. They're going to have a very smooth palate. It's not going to be rough on your tongue or harsh. It is light and soft, and there is a little bit of a dullness to this because it was infused at a higher temperature than what most oolongs are at. It was at 200 degrees Fahrenheit. And remember again, this first infusion was 20 seconds. Let's taste it. Okay, so yeah, this one I do remember. It is very, very subtle. It is not something that you're going to get a lot of flavor out of it, or at least I'm not able to get a lot of a flavor out of it. I do say here that it's a slightly metallic, mineral, earthy flavor profile. Now, if you are somebody who likes those kind of flavors, there is a slight sweetness to it too, so don't disqualify it yet. But that is actually one of the gong fu ways of making that tea. Now, the second infusion of it, and let me just pour it into my cup here for you so you can see the different colors, is this color. Now, this is basically the same color as the first infusion, but this was done at 1 minute of infusing. This was done the gong fu way. In the future, I'll teach you guys a little bit about the gong fu style of tea making and how I learned to do it. But this one is also going to have a clear pale yellow. It also has a little bit more of a complexity to it, so I considered it a medium level complexity. And it also has that vegetal smell. So if you know what cooked vegetables smell like, that is what it's going to smell like. It is also going to have a smooth and light mouthfeel or the texture on your tongue. But let's taste it. Ooh, okay. So this one is a little bit more metallic. It's got a vegetal taste. It also has a minerally, and I personally can taste a little bit of grassiness. But one thing that I found really interesting is when I tried the third one, which was infused for 3 minutes, that grassy taste went away. Now, I'm not going to drink all of these as I've been drinking tea all day. I might actually start to explode, but I will let you guys look at it. It is still going to be a pale yellow color, but it also has a little bit more of a flavor profile for you. So if you're somebody who wants a little bit of a higher complexity tea, something that's a little bit more bold, infusing it for 3 hours, or not 3 hours, 3 minutes, like how we're taught in the United States, at 200 degrees, you are going to get a little bit more of a flavor profile and also an aroma profile. Please do not infuse your tea for 3 hours. Please, please, please don't listen to me. So one of the things that I talked about when it was coming to this one for the actual example for the flavor profile, one thing that I noticed is not only has the grassy flavor gone away, but we're also getting more of an earthy, and this is the first time I tasted the earthiness to this tea. Now this tea is grown over by the ocean, and I do slightly get a little bit of the minerality and ocean-like smell and flavor. It's very common in that part of the world, and it's also something that's really interesting too, because if you've never tasted it before or smelled it before, it's going to be a completely new aroma and flavor profile that your brain is going to have to store and learn that exists. So it's going to take you a little bit to be able to understand it. Let's go over to our golden oolong. Now I'm going to just show you the first and third steep for this one. This is also going to be a pale yellow cup. And when I did this one, again, 20 seconds for the first infusion, 1 minute for the second infusion, and 3 minutes for the third infusion. The leaves of the oolong were very much open at this point. They were uncurled. It was a lot inside of the tea infuser into the pot itself. So it was able to get a lot more of those flavonoids that we have in tea, which only kind of come out when we put them in hot water. So it is a low complexity tea. This one doesn't have as much of a flavor profile to it. It is a light aftertaste, and there is a little bit of a metallic. I think there's a slight bitterness and minerality in there, but there is also a sweetness to this one. This one does have a distinct sweet, and considering that this is actually the first infusion, it did surprise me a little bit. Now, when it comes to the third infusion, and I'm just going to pour this in here really quick, the color profile or the liquor color of this tea is very similar. It has not changed really at all. But one of the things that was added to this flavor profile was that I was also getting a little bit of a milk smooth texture, which is not something that comes from the first infusion. So the longer you infuse it, the more texture you kind of get with this tea. But I would suggest that you experiment with it. This does come from China, so it is a unique area of China. It comes out of Yunnan province. Though other two teas that I have actually are coming out of the Hunan province. So there's a different climate, different weather, and they also have different elevation, which is also going to give you that unique flavor. Now, when it comes to the milk oolong, I'm going to show you what the first infusion looks like. And when I first infused this, I thought I was going crazy, but it literally is such a pale yellow that it almost looks like it's water. But does it have flavor? Not only does this have like this specific milky oolong, it has a milky like taste. It also has the vegetal, like a steamed vegetable taste, and it has a little bit of that minerality, which I am a huge fan of the minerality kind of flavor. It's because it's subtle and not overpowering. But then if we would go into the third infusion, and I'm only skipping the second one right now because I want to make sure that this video isn't going to be like 9 hours long. Now, one thing that is going to happen, and you may not be able to see it as well in here, but the color of the liquor did get a little bit of a darker color. So I call it a dark, pale yellow. It's still very smooth. It's got that great flavor profile, but there's a little bit more that was added to the flavor, which is great. There's not only that mineral and the vegetal and the earthiness, but there's also a little bit of a metallic taste. A lot of good quality teas, especially ones that have to have higher temperatures and have higher caffeine levels, have something called tannins in them. The tea has tannins, and when that is exposed in your hot water, it does give you a slight bitterness or astringency, which is common in black tea. So this milky oolong actually reminds me a bit of a black tea, but not quite there yet. Okay, let me pour this one out here. And then we're going to go to the rare Darjeeling oolong. This is the dark oolong tea. So now this is the one that is going to have a different color, different flavor profile. It's coming from India, not China, but it's also darker in the liquor color. The liquor color is more of a medium pale golden yellow. It's not really as much of a pale yellow, but it's darker than the darkest infusion of the milky oolong, the last one that we just looked at. Now this one has a great flavor profile. I do have to say I like this one more because one thing that's different and unique about the flavor profile is it has a muscatel taste. Muscatel, think of it as like when you are eating a purple grape, the skin that you eat. That's the flavor of muscatel. It is amazing and I love it. And it's such a distinct flavor in this rare Darjeeling oolong that it's something that I'm going to cherish and love forever and ever. I'm also going to show you what the last infusion looked like, which was done for 3 minutes. I do have to say I do not enjoy this tea at that level of an infusion. I actually like it the most with the 20-second infusion, which is the first infusion for the Gong Fu. Now this is dark. As you can tell, this is a lot darker than the other infusions. But as it's a dark oolong, you're going to be expecting to have a darker tea liquor color. Now this one is more of a medium golden yellow. That's how I describe this one. The flavor profile is actually going to be a little bit different too. Not only do you get that muscatel taste, which is something that I absolutely love, it's also vegetal. It's got a metallic taste, though it does not linger and it's not something that you're going to get afterwards. There's a slight bitterness to it, but I like it because this oolong is almost a little bit too sweet for me. When I drink oolong, I don't really want my teas to taste sweet without sugar or honey or anything else or maple syrup that I put in it. And having it a little bit too sweet kind of makes me feel a little bit like uncomfortable. And it's just my personal preference when I'm having tea. The one thing you also need to have for an understanding if you do this for 3 minutes for your infusion is you're going to have a tingly aftertaste. I just got done drinking this tea at maybe about 4 or 5 minutes ago, and I still have a tingle on the back of my tongue. It's a unique kind of a feel, so if you've never felt it before, it's kind of similar. It's a little bit drying, almost like after you drink wine. You gotta get that drying aspect to it. And dare I say it, I almost think that this type of dark oolong may even be considered, or getting close to be considered, one of the champagne teas of the world. In the future, I'll explain to you what that is. Otherwise, guys, I hope you have a great day. I hope this video wasn't too long for you, but if you're ever curious about trying any of these teas, please go to our website. You can find us on Google. You just type in Flavorful Tea and Fruit Company, and we will come up, and the first thing that will come up is our actual website. We do have a Shopify store, but it might be easier for you to be able to just go onto our website, click on our shop, and it will bring you to our Shopify store. If you are able to make it to our actual location in Menasha, we do have summer hours now. Our summer hours has started June 1st and will go until August 30th. We have on Mondays, I will be coming into the office from 3 until 6 p.m. On Tuesdays and Thursdays, we will be open from 12 noon to 6 p.m. Then on Wednesdays and Fridays, we will be open from 3 to 6 also, just like Monday. And on Saturdays, we will be open from 1:15 to 2 o'clock, which is right after the downtown Appleton Farm Market that we are part of, which goes until 12:30. So there's many different ways that you guys can get in contact with me. If you ever have any questions, please leave me a message. And if you're too shy to put them in the comments below, you can always private message me on YouTube, or you can also private message me on our Facebook page, which is just at Flavorful Company. Otherwise, guys, I hope you have an amazing day. Thanks, and bye.